our financial life specifically, one of those things that is really kind of consuming people, and it's becoming a little bit of a distraction, but also just something that people are consumed with, is debt. This debt that is looming from a country, right? When we're talking student loan debt, people are having conversations around, high interest credit card debt and those types of things. I'm gonna break this down in three areas: the 101, 202, 303 level of money. So start at the 101 level, consumer debt. So anybody out there got credit card debt, personal loans, medical bills, student loans, even to some degree, right? The debt that piles up. It's real easy for people to get into debt, really hard for us to get out of debt. So a lot of times we just need a strategy, and we need to think about it the right way. A lot of times in this country, and some of you may see this, we get into debt before we actually get educated financially. So more than likely, we're starting off our financial life in some forms of debt and then working our way out of it so we can get to the next level. So that's why we start here at the 101 level. Not everyone's in consumer debt. Some of you guys out there are really good with your money. You're really good at paying things on time. You're really good at paying off your credit cards. You don't spend more than you make. You've done a really good job in that area. So this 101 level may not be for you. You may have already surpassed and you're at the 202. But for those of you that are in some forms of debt, debt is crippling. It's crippling a lot of people. So having this debt conversation is important. 101 level, consumer debt, things that are high interest in nature. So we're talking credit cards, we're talking any type of loans that you're getting, those types of things. It's really important for us to have a strategy of how to get out of debt. A lot of times when money starts coming in, we have the idea of throwing all the money at the debt, right? Obviously, we have to balance. We still need to focus on our saving and investing, and then being aggressive with our debt according to how much we have. But the way that we back out of this debt is doing something called a debt snowball or a debt avalanche. Again, something that our uncle, right, our Uncle Dave has talked a lot about. And if there's any resource to give anybody that is in any form of consumer debt, Dave Ramsey is a great resource for you to understand how to do a debt snowball or debt avalanche, where basically you're lining up all of your interest rate, all of your high interest debt, and you're going to now start to attack one card and pay the minimums on all the rest of the cards. Let's say you have 4, credit cards. All of them are relatively high interest rates, between 22 and 30% interest. What you would do is you would take the highest interest rate card and you would pay as much as your budget can handle to that one card. And then you're going to pay off all the rest by just paying the minimums to those. So you're paying as much as your budget can handle to the top one, and then just paying the minimum to all the rest. Eventually, that first card gets completely paid off. You take that amount that you were paying, that first credit card, and you roll it into paying off your next credit card that you were only paying that minimum on, and then continue to pay the minimums on the rest. Repeat that cycle all the way until you back yourself out of debt. That is the proper way to be able to get out of debt. The improper way, which some people do, the improper way of getting out of debt is paying a little bit over the minimum to all your cards, paying a little bit over the minimum to all the debts, right? That actually doesn't give you the same, kind of like financial power, horsepower to knock down that interest. So you want to attack one, pay the minimums on all the rest. So that's on the consumer debt side of things. Another topic at this 101 level before we move to 202 is a lot of people ask the question, after I'm out of my unsecured debt, credit cards, personal loans, those types of things, should I start paying off my car? Should I start paying off my home? Right? Those are what we call secured debt. It's something that you know exactly when you're going to be out of debt, right? You signed for 72 months for your car, or 60 months for your car, 15 or 30 years for that mortgage. You know when you're going to be out of debt. So after you're out of the unsecured debt that you don't know when, right, you would be out of debt. On the secured side, you have your options. You can start paying down some of that debt, or you can say, hey, maybe my money is better spent investing it, saving it, putting it in different places. That's your option. But for the first part of it, unsecured debt, you got to make sure that we are backing ourselves out, because there's no way to really build wealth when we have a ton of high interest debt. It's clogging up our cash flow a bit. So that's the 101 level.
You mentioned snowball and avalanche. What is the difference?
One is you're taking the highest interest rate and you're starting at the highest interest rate, and then paying the minimums on everything else, and you're just taking it by the interest rate as to the way that you're paying off the debt. The other method is you're taking the lowest balance first.
Got it.
So inside of that method, you have the same 4 credit cards, but instead of just looking at, well, what's the highest interest? Maybe we're looking at, okay, this one I only owe 300. It's the minimum, right? The next one I owe 1,400. The next one I owe 5,000. The next one I owe 1,800 or whatever. So I'm going to take care of the $300 one first, pay the minimums on the rest, so I can get that easy win. So I can get that victory, like, whew, knocked out 1 credit card. And then I'm going to go to the next one and I'm going to pay off the next minimum balance so that one can be done. So those are the 2 different types. One's an avalanche, one's a snowball. One you're taking highest interest, one you're taking lowest balance. Which one's better? Pros and cons. It's up to everybody's personal style of kind of how they like to look at their money or what they deal with. Some people have an instant gratification thing where it's like, hey, if I pay off these 2 credit cards, it makes me feel good and gives me the momentum to keep wanting to do this. So a lot of people take that method, like, oh man, paid off these 2 cards. I feel good. It's only been 2 months. Now they have the bigger ones down the line, but they feel good because they have the momentum. The other side are people that are more practical and logical and saying, hey, it only makes sense if this one's 28% and this one's 12%. Well, I'm going to choose to pay the 28% one just because I know that I'm going to get more bang for my buck long term. I'm going to save more money, not have to pay as much interest, even though that balance might be a bit higher, right? So really depends. It depends who's doing it. Both of the methods work. It's really just up to you. So that's the 101 level. The 202, when you get to that next level, maybe you're out of the consumer debt. You've done a great job. Now you have to start building credit and getting your personal rewards and business rewards. So the next level up is saying, okay, I'm good with my money. I know what's coming in and what's going out. I understand everything that's happening in my financial life. I have money coming in. Now, Bank of America or Wells Fargo or my credit union or Capital One or any of them, they're going to lend me money kind of like a line of credit if I need it. And because I'm responsible with money, it makes sense that I get some of these perks, right? You start getting into the credit card game. Maybe you don't have a bunch of credit cards. Maybe you've never really been building credit. Well, this is the time to say, okay, I'm responsible with my money. Maybe I should open up a few different credit cards. Maybe I should get a store card to get all of the rewards back from the normal places that I shop. Maybe because I like to travel, I'm going to get an airline miles card, a Delta card, or some other airline, right? Maybe I choose to do the Amazon or Walmart because I'm already spending money there and I'm going to get cash back or I'm going to get some rewards. That's when we start building up our credit. We can do it for personal reasons because you can get some benefits from it, but you're also doing it for those of you that are entrepreneurs running this entrepreneur race, is because now you're going to start building some forms of business credit as well, right? Where companies and banks or banks are going to be able to lend you more and more money as an entity, as a business entity, because you're an S Corp, C Corp, or right, you have your LLC. So the second level is now we got to start building on these things. The ways that we build, we open up new lines and we pay things on time. That's real simple, real simple. Open up new lines, pay things on time. And if you do that, you keep your utilization low. So, don't max out all the cards, keep your utilization really low. You follow that method, it'll build your credit. More people will offer you more money that will allow you to then get to 303. Because that 202 level can be brief if it only takes a little bit of time for you to build your credit, build your mindset around what you want to do in business. You can go straight from 202 to 303, which is now how do we leverage credit to expand, to grow, to get to our financial goals and dreams. Okay. So that 202 level can be real quick, but that's where we start building credit. After we build the credit, now we can go off and say, what do I want to do with this? And so again, for all of you entrepreneurs and for people that are now looking at midterm investments, those of you that have been following me and listening to what we talk about short, mid, long. Midterm are the investments that you really build wealth in. That's your hefty 5-figure, 6-figure investment that you're going to plop a bunch down because you have specialized knowledge, and that thing is going to potentially bring you back multiples. So that's where we start playing on the 303 level of credit, because now we say, okay, these banks are going to lend me money. My business entities have lines of credit. We have all of these things. So now it's how do I expand my revenue? If I expand my revenue in my business, how do I go from, $100,000 a year of sales to $1 million a year in sales? Maybe I need to now leverage other people's money. I need to leverage money from the bank for my infrastructure so that I can keep growing my revenue. That's when we get into what they call good debt, right? So the 303 level of debt is good debt. It basically just means that money is going to return you more money. By you borrowing that money, it's going to bring you some more money. And now you can really start to just look at your numbers and make sure your returns are good. So those are the three levels of debt, guys. That's been really plaguing people. So know what level you're on. Are you at the 101 where we got to pay attention to the consumer debt side and make sure we're making good payments and having doing that debt snowball or debt avalanche? Do we elevate to the 202 level where we're actively building credit? We're paying our things on time. We're making sure we're opening up lines of credit. We're getting to that place. And then are we at the 303? Or are we getting to the 303 level where now we can leverage this credit to now expand our operations, to now build infrastructure, to now go use our money to make more money, or excuse me, use someone else's money to make more money. That's really what it is, right? If you're there, then that's where all the fun happens. That's where you start leveraging and really being able to use other people's money, OPM, to be able to go build your dreams. You just got to know what level you're on, guys.
Welcome to the good life.